Shalom. The Torah portion this week, the portion of Vayishlach, has many details about the life of Jacob, who we've been studying about for the past several weeks. One specific incident that the Torah portion focuses on is the story of Jacob, who is traveling with his family back towards the land of Israel. And as he has gotten his family to a particular point, he realizes he has left behind some personal possessions, some pachim ketanim, some small items at his last stop. And Jacob goes back alone to this spot and tries to pick up the things that he had left behind. At this point, the Torah tells us, he is confronted with a force that wrestles with him. The exact words are Vaye'avek ish imo, a man, but we are really told this is actually an angelic figure who wrestled and tried to stop him from continuing on his path. The specific details that the commentaries fill in over here are as follows. This figure, this angelic force, was actually the spiritual counterpart to Esau. Esau, as we know, is the twin brother of Jacob, who spent many years in discord and disharmony with his brother. And although they had attempted to reconcile, that was only successful to a limited degree. But here, the spiritual counterpart of Esau, the angel of Esau, if you will, was now obstructing Jacob from continuing on his path. And this struggle led to an actual injury on the hip of Jacob, of Yaakov, which has a whole set of details associated with it as well. But the end of the story is that Jacob is able to overpower the angelic force and show dominance and strength over it. And as a result of this, the angelic force, the angel of Esau, says to Jacob, I want you to have another name. Till now, your name is Yaakov, Jacob, but now, as a result of this incident, your name is going to be Yisrael. This word Yisrael is an acronym for the Hebrew words Kisarisa im Elokim, V'im anashim v'tuchal. You struggled, you battled, you wrestled with physical resistance and with spiritual resistance, and you managed to overcome. And this actually becomes not just the new name of Jacob, but it becomes the name of all the Jewish people. As we know, the Jewish people are referred to as Bnei Yisrael, the sons of Israel, the land of Yisrael, the land of Israel. So Israel now becomes not just a new name for Jacob, but it becomes Jacob's identity, and by extension, the identity of the Jewish people as well, highlighting their very core, our very core essence and ability and strength to dig deeper and overcome obstacles and challenges, whether they're physical or spiritual or anything else. We have that soul power, we have that inner ability to apply those inner strengths and overcome obstacles and challenges. So this is an interesting insight into the name Yisrael and the applicable lesson that it has for all of us, as well as the mindset that it encourages us to take on, which is, it's not a matter of if, but how. It's not a matter of if we can overcome the challenges, it's just a matter of how we are going to. When we have that mindset of Yisrael, that the challenges are there for us to overcome, then that already is most of the work, and the rest is just a technicality of how we're going to actually implement that successful outcome. This is interesting, especially because it's in a little bit of contrast to the teaching of last week's Torah portion, where we are introduced to another name of the Jewish people, which is the name Yehuda, or Yehudi. Yehudi in English is the word Jew. You have Jew and you have Israelites. Yisrael is Israelites. Yehudi is the Jew. which is obviously the common name for the Jewish people as well. But the origin of this name is quite interesting, because the name Yehudi, Jew, Yehuda, comes from the story of the birth of the fourth child of Leah. As we know, Jacob had 4 wives, Rachel, Leah, Bilhah, and Zilpah. And the Torah describes how Leah gave birth to her first son, who was Reuven, a second son, Shimon, a third son, Levi, and then a fourth son, Yehuda. And she says, when this fourth child is born, she says, now I will thank God. Hapam odeh et Hashem. Now I will show my gratitude and thanks to God. And that's why she calls him the name Yehuda, which means gratitude, thanks, which is a word we use especially in the opening prayers in the morning, modeh ani, or in Hebrew we say todah rabbah. These are all variations of this root concept and root word of Yehuda, gratitude and appreciation. The interesting thing about this is that the Talmud comments on this act of Leah, who called her son Yehuda, and says this is the first time that we find gratitude expressed in the Torah, where the actual word Yehuda is used and the term gratitude is used and expressed. But the commentaries ask on this doesn't seem to be accurate. What do you mean, ask the commentaries, that this is the first time gratitude is expressed in the Torah? Gratitude is actually mentioned, or at least expressed many times. We look at the life of Abraham and Sarah, where after they accomplished certain milestones in their life, they brought offerings and gifts to God. We find Noah, when he survived the flood, he brought offerings to God as an expression of gratitude. And there's several other examples as well. So why is the Talmud saying that this is the first time we see real gratitude in the Torah? So the commentaries go on to explain something quite fascinating, which is the other expressions of gratitude that we see in the Torah are in situations and scenarios where there was a miraculous outcome, and the result is obviously going to be a reaction of appreciation and gratitude. However, with the story of Leah giving birth to Judah, her fourth son, what is really going on is she is expressing gratitude in a relatively non-miraculous, what we call teva, natural, normal world order. She had one child. Wow, that's amazing. Then she has another child. Okay, another one, and another one, and another one. It seems like things are just running in a fashion that this is normal, it's repetitive, it happened before, and it's happening again, and it's not an out-of-the-world experience, it's not a big deal. Yet, in the midst of this natural process, in the midst of this seemingly ordinary system, Leah says, no, let's pause for a moment. Let's recognize for a moment that this is actually no ordinary occurrence. This is actually a miracle. This is something that I've got to be grateful for. And this is the reason why the Talmud tells us it is the first time that true gratitude is expressed. Because to express gratitude when the miracle happens, that doesn't take any genius to recognize that miracle and to be wowed by it and appreciate it. But when things happen naturally, we go through life and certain milestones are reached, and we think, yeah, I'm going to have this birthday, and then that birthday, and then this celebration, and that happy occasion, and we tend to take things for granted. And here Leah teaches us this profound message and this profound example and profound lesson, which is, let's pause. Let's take stock of what's happening and see how every day is a miracle. Every breath, every time we open our eyes in the morning, it is a miracle that has just happened so many times. We've become a little bit jaded. We've become a little bit unimpressed and uninspired by it. But if we pause for a moment, we can reclaim some of that fascination and magical connection that each of these miraculous, subtle moments are filled with. So here we have another name of the Jewish people is Yehudi, Yehuda, a Jew, which reminds us that the essence of a Jew is gratitude. The essence of life is to show gratitude and connection to the divine, miraculous force that is pumping life into every moment in the most fascinating, miraculous manner. So these are the two names, Yehuda and Yisrael. The knowledge that we can overcome obstacles, but also connecting to that deeper sense of awareness that reminds us that everything is a miracle. Everything is a divine blessing. And just to conclude this teaching with one more point, the Alter Rebbe, the first Chabad Rebbe, tells us an interesting insight into the word Yisrael that says that if you take the 5 letters of the word Yisrael, Yud, Sin, Resh, Aleph, and Lamed, if you rearrange those letters, you can get a very interesting outcome, which is Shir Kel, which means to sing to God. In other words, what a Jew does and what a Jew is taught to do is to sing through their journey of life. And when we can find the melody in every experience, even if it's a challenge, even if it's a hardship, if we can find that inner rhythm, that inner connection, that inner joy that we know makes this journey worthwhile, then we are bound to be able to find the inner resources, the inner perspective to forge ahead and to overcome. The melody is not an additional interpretation. The melody that the Jew sings is really the essence of what empowers us to overcome, what empowers us to apply our soulful abilities to the harsh physical realities and remind ourselves that it's the spirit and power of the inner strength of the soul that ultimately has the greater strength and will ultimately enable us to overcome those bumps in the road, those obstacles, those challenges which may be in our lives at any given moment. Wishing you all a wonderful, beautiful Shabbat. And before I end off, a big thank you to all those that contributed to the campaign that we just successfully completed. And this is an expression of hoda'ah, gratitude that we are expressing, but I think it's also an expression of Yisrael, the resilience and the determination of our amazing community that want to see continued Yiddishkeit, continued joy and celebration of life that emanates from the programs and activities that we offer. Wishing you all a good Shabbos and all the best. Shalom.